Awesome, 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 awesome. All right, so let's get started. When we say graphic designing, I'm sure from day to day you've been hearing this word and you've been seeing activities of designing. You've been seeing how design has influenced our society, from artworks, from communication, from our day-to-day activities to guide us, instructions, and all that. And I'm sure we've all come to and grow to appreciate how design has influenced our society in terms of visual aid, in terms of communication also. And I'm hoping that by the end of this session, all of you here would be able to at least design a call card and some basic flyers for your day-to-day activities. And those of you who want to venture into designing full-time, I'll be more than grateful and happy to help you develop yourself and groom yourself as an individual and as a designer also. All right, so let's get started. When we say graphic designing, it's not much of miscommunication as to how the word comes out on its own. So just a basic interface over here to guide you on as to how designing influences our view and all that. So I'm glad you made it here today. Now look here. Without this arrow over here, if I say look here, I'm sure you'll be as confused as you might be when you are going somewhere, you don't have directions to the exact location you are going, or you're using Google Map and you just don't understand how the map works. So this is how designing works. Simple text with little graphics or visual communicates a great message to the person receiving or viewing the content. So when I said look here with a red, your attention got to somewhere with the arrow leading your eyes to where exactly I want you to look. Now from that place, I meant no, not there, here. And there's another arrow leading down there. So automatically, without even looking down here, your eyes went up there first. But initially, I meant here, not the other direction round. But because I guided your eyes with the arrow, you follow that arrow to the wrong direction. And that's how communication and graphic designing can influence our view in our day-to-day activities. Now, I'm glad you made it here. Let's continue. Okay, so on the previous page, I intentionally quickly skipped. Oh, my screen is frozen again. Okay, so I wrote a big circle. Can you all see the circle? Okay, so what happened is that there's no circle over there, but I wrote a big circle. So automatically in your mind, you've done a circle in your head. Whilst I haven't drawn that circle, I just wrote the statement, a big circle. So that's how communication works. That's how designing works. Design is all about communicating a particular audience, a particular message to an audience. So instead of me drawing a circle over there, I didn't draw the circle, but rather I wrote a big circle, which made an impression in your mind that I've drawn a circle over there, or you picture a circle. But in actual case, I just wanted you to read the statement, a big circle. Now, welcome to the world of graphics designing or graphics design. All right, so on this page, as you're seeing right now, I've written graphics design, I've omitted certain words, and not all the words are showing. But yet, I'm sure you were able to read it fully as the word graphic designing. This is one way of also communicating to your audiences through just text without images, but yet they make full meaning even if you omitted some of the words. So as you can see on the screen, not all the words are written in full, and I've even omitted some. I've omitted one letter, and let's say I've cut some of them off. But yet, if you should close your eyes and open your eyes to this text, you'll be able to determine or tell that this is the word the person is trying to communicate to you, or this is the word you are reading in mind. All right, so what is graphic designing? Graphic design is the process of combining art and text with graphics in communicating an effective message in the form of logos, graphics, brochures, newsletters, posters, sign, and any other form of communication, visual communication, sorry. I'll take that again. Kindly write and take your pens and paper and write something down so that you can all learn alongside. So graphic designing is the process of communicating or combining arts and graphics with text in communicating an effective message in the form of logos, graphics, brochures, letters, posters, sign, and any other form of communication. That's basically the knowledge of graphic designing. So it's just combining text, graphics, and art to convey a certain message to an audience or to people. And it comes in many forms. So you have the visual side of it, which is the that comes in the newsletters, the logos, the brochures, on TV, all that. You get art and communication through that. You put it together. That's when you come up with graphic design and you communicate a certain message to a certain audience somewhere. All right, so what are the building blocks of graphic design, the basic elements that make up the whole graphic design idea or space? We have 5 main elements of graphic design. Those are the lines, shape, mask, texture, and color. These are the basic 5 elements. We have several categories under them that we could break even into. But these are the basic ones that you need to know and understand for you to go forward in the space of graphic designing. So let's take it one by one. We use lines to divide pages, to communicate a message, to guide a user in a certain direction. And the lines also provide anchor onto pages. I'm sure when you're preparing your CV or your resume and co, you use lines to demarcate the pages into various sections. So anybody reading your CV or your resume can dictate that, okay, this space is divided or dedicated to this particular information. This space is dedicated to this particular information. So that's the basic use of lines in designing and in our day-to-day activities also. So these are just basic examples of lines. You have the thick lines, the dashed lines, the horizontal, the vertical lines. They all perform their various duties depending on how you want to use it and the ratio at which you are using it. We can use just lines to create a whole pattern for a specific design. We can use lines to guide a user as to how to read a particular artwork and all that. So these are just basic examples of lines. Now we have shapes also. Every single shape you see by you today can be transformed into great art by combining it in the right way and turning them in the right direction to communicate a certain message. You can even put shapes together to form all the cartoons you see and all that. They are all performed through shape. You can use shapes to convey a particular art style. So we use shapes in our day-to-day activities here and there. And they come in print forms also. When you're printing a particular artwork, how you want it to come out also reflect greatly on the shape you are printing into. We have the rectangles, the squares, the triangles, and all that. So those are just some basic understanding of the elements of graphic designing. So I chose a very unique example over here, whereby when you look on the label, the word honey is written over there. yet the E is not an exact E. The E was chosen as a form of a logo for the company. Yes, it was integrated into the logo and into the print form to form the O shape and the E shape at the same time. So if you look closely, you realize you are seeing honey written all right, yet there's a logo inside that particular artwork also, and there's a shape definition also in the artwork. So this is a basic example and a little intermediate to advanced application of shape. I don't want to choose the regular circles and triangles for you because you've seen that several times. So basically, this is how you can apply shapes in your day-to-day designing and be creative about it. So you're not limited to just this. You can perform shapes in different designs and to convey a certain message. That's the main purpose of it. No matter the elements you are using, the end goal of it is to convey a certain message to your audience. So basically, this is one example that you can learn from. This is another example of shapes whereby you use typography to communicate, or you use typography to convey a certain message of a certain element. Okay, so we used a frog, as you can see over here, a frog or a toad. I don't know which is which, but anyway. So you can see a frog or a toad over there, and we just use typography, just using text, various forms of text, to create the shape of the animal. Okay, so at the end of the day, you are seeing the animal, yet you are still seeing a shape, and you can see a certain message within the shape. So this is just another form of shape application that you would learn, or you will be applying your day-to-day activities as you grow in the world of designing. Now we have mass also. Mass can be relative to communication in such a way that when you're reading a certain message, the weight of the font that you see, the size of the font, how certain elements are placed, and how they attract you. That's the application of mass in your day-to-day design activities or design communications. So basically, these are some examples of mass application. So as you see the word typography over there, you read that one first, but you will not go to I love typography over there. So if you check closely over here, there's the word I love on top here before the typography comes. But when you look at it on the get-go, the first word that comes to mind is typography. And that's the effect of mass communication. So this is what you want your users to read. When they get closer, then they can read the information over here, which says, I love typography. Just as the similar ones over here, the main focus is on the font face or the typeface that you're using. Then down here, there's various communication messages that are applied over there also. When you look at this poster over here also, the text depicts a certain, you can't read the text, don't worry about that. But the text depicts a certain form of communication to you in relation to the images applied to it. So when you see this poster, you know it's something related to war and all that. So the mass communication from this is that the poster is communicating a certain mood of war. You get it? So that's basically how mass influences. Yes, you can get the slides after the presentation. I'll make it available for you. Don't worry, okay? All right, so let's move on. Now we have texture for publications also. On the previous post, you see I applied texture over there with the wall artwork. All right, so with the texture, it's just about how you communicate a certain feeling to your user when they are looking at your artwork. So normally when you go for these art galleries where they do painting, presentation and all that, you realize people look at the artwork and be like, this artwork communicates to me more, that artwork communicates to me more. It's all about applying texture, the right feeling to that texture to convey a certain message or feeling or emotions to the person viewing or using your artwork. All right, so this is a basic example of texture application. So you see, looking here, you could clearly see that this is a fashion artwork, and basically this fashion artwork is conveying something related to African ethnicity. So you could see the various patterns applied over there relates to an African origin designing. Do you get it? And you could automatically tell that this is about fashion because of how it's represented. So basically, this is one application of texture in communication also. So let's say if it's cooking, you could place the artwork in such a way that when a person sees your artwork, immediately conveys that message of maybe a powder touch during your cooking session, or a blade cut during your cooking session, sorry, a knife cut rather, during your cooking session and all that. So you can convey texture and emotions through designing also. You are not limited to your creativity level. All right, this is one of my favorite parts of designing, colors. We can use colors to communicate a lot of messages, from our happiness, our sadness, our joy, our emotions, and all that. And we can use colors for warnings. We use colors to communicate or guide users as to how to go about certain things. A basic example is the traffic light. Nobody tells you that when you get to the traffic light, you should stand and then read the colors written. There's nothing like that over there. But once you get to the traffic lights and you see the color red, automatically signals you that there's danger ahead of you, but you shouldn't go ahead or you should stop. When you see the yellow one, it revives the emotion in you that you're getting ready, or happiness comes along with the color yellow. When it comes to the color green also, it tells you growth or go. So that's a basic application of our daily life activities with colors that we don't even realize. So colors communicate a lot to us. When you go into the corporate, or they have a certain range of colors they use that communicate certain messages to their users. So in corporate society, when you see red, it means seriousness, it means wildness, it means excellence and all that. The color black, elegance, sophistication and all that. So all these colors communicate a certain message. That's why certain colors are there. When you see them, it evokes a certain emotion in you. When you go for a funeral and everyone is in red, you feel, yes, you are coming to a house of mourning. When you go to a party and everyone is in white, you know it's about joy and happiness. So that's how color communicates to us in our day-to-day activities. And so these are basic color palettes that we use in our daily life and in every aspect of designing or communication. The basic colors are RGB, which represent red, green, and blue. Form of it, RBG. And this is what your phone uses, your computer screens, and day-to-day activity monitors that you see uses the RBG format. Now we have the CMYK, which represents cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Now this is what we use in the print media. So anytime you want to go and print something, the final output you see is in this color coding format, which is the CMYK. So these are the two basic color coding format that we have. And through this, we've been able to develop several millions of colors from this, just by combining 2, 3 of them to come up with a certain color range. You can pick just the color red and you can get several color palettes from them. Okay, so these are the basic color combination codes that we use in designing. You have the complementary colors, which are colors of opposite sides. So when you pick the color yellow, the opposite color for yellow is violet. So this is the color wheel that we use for designing and guides you with your design process. So when you're designing anything, you are always supposed to have a color range to work in. If it's complementary colors you're working with, you know, when you pick yellow, the opposite of yellow is going to be violet. Now within that range, you can find several millions of colors that you could use, from the shades, the tints, the shadows and all that. You get several ranges of colors that you could apply to make your design look very attractive and very communicative. Now we have the analogous colors, which are colors next to each other. So when you pick yellow, yellow is not going to be your main color, but it's going to be your anchor color. So you have the yellow over there, yet you're going to be using yellow, green, and yellow, orange for your design. So basically, all your designs are going to be centered around these two colors, yet you have the space in between the yellow that you could apply creatively to come up with the results that you seek. And we have the triad colors also. The triad colors is the triangular color format. So we pick any 3 points on the color palette and then choose your color range from there. So this one, I pick the orange, automatically goes to the green and comes to the violet. When you pick yellow orange, your triangle will go this way. So you could go yellow orange and come with blue green and red violet. So any triangle you draw on the color wheel or the color circle, you could come up with a whole color palette that you can use for your designing, and it automatically makes your design very attractive. That's what distinguishes a professional designer from a newbie or someone who doesn't know much about design. So you see them combining red, yellow, green, blue, all the same, all colors. In fact, all the colors, they can apply 17 colors on one design, and it's very bad for communication and hurts the user at the end. So this is a basic example of creative color combination, which the designer didn't apply the exact color rules to it, but was creative about it. So you could see, if you go back, you realize when you pair green, you don't pair green with orange. You get it? But yet he was able to pair green and orange in a certain color and shade to come up with the color cycle that he wanted. So as you can see, the color range within this place is different shades of green and orange. So based on that, when you see this communication or this artwork or product packaging, you get attracted to it because the designer has been creative about applying the colors onto it. I've used my company as an example so you could see. Over here also, you could see the color combinations that we use, just the green and the blue. This is a shade of blue and this is a shade of green also. So in application, you could see we didn't use much colors. No other color was introduced throughout the whole design. It's just a repetition of the same colors applied in different formats. So I limited myself to creating this artwork or this whole identity process by limiting the designs to just 2 colors. And I didn't go outside these 2 colors to use any other color again. Yet the communication I wanted to put out there is there. Now, when you see this artwork anywhere or you see these similar colors, your subconscious mind automatically reflects to this brand because they limited themselves to these colors consistently. And that's one thing also about design. You have to be consistent about your colors. You can't say today you're using red and black, and then after 3 months you change and say now you're using blue and yellow. It doesn't communicate to your users that way. Yes, it's just like JHS as they were teaching us. Now it's been applicable in real life situation. So this is the big picture here, okay? This is where the main magic happens. After learning the basic elements, this is where the main magic happens. Now, when it comes to designing, we have various techniques that we use. That's the balance, the proximity, the alignment, the repetition, consistency, contrast, and then we have the white space application also. So let me jump this and then let's go. All right, so this one application of symmetry, okay? So when you're designing in mind, how do you want the message to be conveyed? What is going here? What do you want your users to read first? So this is a basic definition of a symmetrical balanced design. So you can put maybe your logo here, you put a particular information here, and you put maybe your contact information here. All right, so this one application of the symmetrical designing. So you could see the page has been divided into 2, one message here and then one message there, but yet it's all saying the same thing. But this is that the color combination has made the artwork look creative and very nice. And there's another example also, the Mad Men example. You could see clearly the color combination that they did over there, and you see how the asymmetrical direction is telling you a specific word. So when you look at it, you see the mad and the men over there reading in 2 different color codes, yet it's conveying one single message, madmen. But when you look at it, you read it in 2 word parts. So this is just a basic example of design technique that we use to communicate a specific message to you reading. All right, so this is another example for typography with asymmetrical design, where you divide the pages as you see in the daily graphics in your day-to-day activities and all that. This is a principle that they apply in the daily graphics that you read each day. So they divide the pages into 3 or 2 and then commit certain messages into each panel. And the header over there could tell you that this particular session is about this header. So this header over here communicates the whole overview of what you're about to read. And when you look down here, there are several messages in several codes over here also, in color coding over here also, which attract your attention to it. This white space is left here intentionally. So this is an application of white space. We'll be reading about that very soon. This is an application of white space to make your design look attractive and convincing to your user that they can actually read everything over there. So this is a false but creative way of telling you that the text is plenty, but yet you can still read, because we intentionally left all this space to show you the text is not really that plenty. All right, so we have the radial balance also, whereby all your activities or your design is centered around a circle or a focus point. So you realize on the artwork showing over here, it's a calendar with several designs roaming up and down of it, but yet the main focus, or the first thing you notice, is the 2002 in the middle. This form of art has been a little ignored because of sometimes the miscommunication people get when they are reading it. Because as you can see, it's a calendar. You can choose to start from anywhere if you don't know how the calendar works. All right, so let's move to rule of thirds. Rule of thirds is an advanced technique that we use, but basic principle also in designing, whereby when you're designing, you divide your page into three equal spaces, and then through that you communicate your message in variations. So you choose either any of this, or you can be creative about how you go. You can go horizontal, vertical, anyhow you want to go. You can even go diagonal to communicate your message, depending on how you want your users to read the message or understand the message you're trying to send to them, and where you want their focus to go to. So design is all about the focus and the messaging. That's one thing you should know also, because when you do an artwork and you put thousands of messages over there and there's no focus to the messages that are putting out there, or there's no focus to the design, your user doesn't know where exactly to read or what exactly to pick home. So you apply the rule of thirds to your designing. So if this is your header, the subspace over there will be sub information that you don't really want your user to miss out also, but yet you want them to read. So you put the attention grabber over here, and then put the spacing of the other communication message you want to put out there here. So there's two space rule of third. You put one vital information and then put one here, and put the sub messaging in the middle over here. And there's another one also, as you can see, it's just been flipped to the down. And you have the this design format also, whereby you can spread the messages not in a particular order, but with a particular application of principle in mind. So you have the 1, 2, 3 dots or circles, yet they carry variations in weight. As you can see, the mass communication that we did. So when you look over here, you realize this one will be your main message that you'll be putting out there, and that's what your users will read most before they head over to the subcategories over here. Okay, so you have the proximity design also, which allows you to, okay, let me explain this one this way. So as you can see, this is a proximity example. If you see a design artwork like this or like that, you will not understand what they are trying to do. Not make sense of what you are seeing. But the proximity allows you to group objects in an attractive way to communicate to your audience and make your design artwork or design work visually attractive to people to get interested in. So if I should scatter these triangles in messages, you will not understand what I'm trying to convey over here. But if I put them together like this, uniform or united, you could see the messaging that I'm putting out there, and it looks visually appealing to your consumer or your customer. The same thing applies to these circles. As you can see, it's just scattered. There's no uniformity or proximity applied over here. But when it's unified, it forms a triangle which communicates better to your viewer or your user seeing the artwork. Okay, so these are some of basic examples of proximity design also in real life application. So as you can see over here, you have the University of the West, what's happening in Redwood Country, cooperative. All the information has been put out there, okay, but yet there's no proximity applied. So the information looks a little distorted. Now, when you come down here, this is a real application of proximity design. The artwork at the end, the trees over there have been scaled to fit into the design. The main messaging has been put out there. And then the contact or the header, the direction to the information is down here. So as you can see, Redwood Forestry is the main message, which is communicating with the artwork you see over here. And what's happening communicate more of these two combinations into the University of the West and the University Corporate Extension and the date 1996. The same thing applies to this. When you are doing your call card, you don't just clutter your information about, you arrange them with proximity. So when someone takes your call card, they see the company name, your name, and then location, contact number, or your address. So there's a form of communication when someone picks up your call card. They know the company they are talking to, they know who they are talking to in the company, where the company is located, and how to reach the person on the contact form. So this is the correct way to do it, not what's up here. Okay, so we come to alignment, and we do this in our basic lives always. When you're wearing your shirt, you align the buttons to the button on your trousers or your zips. Where if it's a lady, you align specific items. I don't want to mention to be a little open-sided. So let's say the ladies also, when you're dressing, you align certain things on your body to match certain locations in order to make things look gorgeous on you when you're walking about or moving about. So basically, that's the application of alignment, to make things look symmetrical to them each other, to create a clean and sophisticated look for your design or your content you are creating. So if you go for the left, the center, the right, you go for the top, the down, the middle. Depending on how you want your messages to come across, you can apply any of these principles in there. So there's a basic example of it. As you can see, it's aligned to the left and it's in the middle at the same time. And you have space at the top, you have space at the down. And this is a basic example of the rule of thirds law also. You could see the space at the top here, the space at the down here, yet the communication is happening right in the middle here. So goods are good, grades are good. It's in the middle here, and all the space around here makes you focus only here. So this is an application of several principles of design. You can have the rule of thirds in here, you have the alignment, the grading, you have the proximity also over here. So everything is happening around here. When you look at this artwork, you don't look at, because the empty space is drawing your attention to grades are good, and that is the information the user wants, the designer wants you to read. The same way with the example at the side also, you can see how the design has been segmented into various aspects, and you can see the alignment working on the design, and you can see the definition of the spaces, the white space that they've left here, the attention grabbers over here, the segmentation of the text and all that. These are just basic examples of application in real life. Okay, so now we move to consistency or repetition. This is one artwork that you see in your daily African prints and co. This is where the idea came from, whereby you repeat a certain design or a pattern or a shape to form a color palette looking design. So this whole artwork you can see over here has been applied with a certain color palette, which is the red and the black color fill. Now with this design that you're seeing over here, you could change this layout and then make them maybe horizontal. They will still form a very nice looking pattern that you can use. If this was printed as an African print, I'm sure you and I will buy and then sew and wear and flare in it. Sorry. So the artwork representation also that repeats the rule of repetition. Now this is one interesting side that we have already spoken about, but this is a dedicated space for that only. So we have the contrast where you let the user focus on a certain direction or a certain message on your artwork. So when you take this one like this, you see the color palette over there, you see the black, pink, and then black. When you look at this, your first attention is the pink that you see. So that's how you distinguish information on flyers or your design and communication to others. When it comes to shape, you see circle, 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 and then you see a triangle in the middle. When you look, you see the triangle first. When it comes to size also, if you wrote, I am going, and you make the going big, and you do the school small, when someone sees your artwork, the person communicates on the going first before seeing the rest of the information, or that will grab the person's attention before seeing the rest of the information. We have the orientation also where you flip the same shape or design in another format to communicate or to grab attention to a specific area of your design. We have the typeface also, whereby you change the sizes of the fonts to communicate a certain message or grab attention to something else. We have the line application also, where you change the width of the lines and all that. So this is just a basic example of the application of contrast over here. You can see the color coding, the text variations and all that. So this is a basic example of the contrast application. All right, so we have the white space, as I mentioned earlier on, whereby you let the users breathe or live within the artwork as you give them. So you have the first artwork over here that says Relax Furniture Sales Event. Now, this artwork didn't use a lot of communication materials, but when you see this chair over here or the sofa over here, you automatically know it's a sales, a furniture event happening, and they say relax. So the color combination of the two gives you that relaxing feeling with the application of the white space. So now the white space left over here is for you to breathe in or fill in as a user using the artwork. On the second one with the yellow design also, as you can see, there's no messaging over here, but there's a certain artwork design made, which includes the white space application. So if you look closely, you'll see there are 3 circles over there. Inside that 3 circles is a triangle. And now that triangle has transformed the main circles into, let's say, a talking mouth shape. So this is one example of the white space application also that you'll be applying when you start designing also. So now combining all these elements gives you the visual representation that you need to fulfill in your designing as a designer. And as you're designing along, you should be applying these principles and the activities to enable you to communicate better when you're reaching out to people or people are seeing your artwork. They should be able to get the messaging that you're putting out there. Okay, so now let's move to the software that we use for designing. We have the Adobe Photoshop and then we have the Adobe Illustrator. And the Illustrator is my personal favorite because of how or the kind of works I like to do. The Illustrator is the best place for you to do that at. Although I work hand in hand with both, but I prefer Illustrator most times. I'll choose Illustrator 100 times over and over. So basically, the Illustrator is a vector-based graphics design program, a graphics program. Sorry, you can use it for designing your business cards, your flyers, your logos, and all that. And it's very good for designing your logos because it's a vector-based. Now, vectors are scalable over 1000%. So that makes your work super crispy and super sharp. Now, Photoshop is a pixel graphic program which helps you manipulate images, do certain images a certain way. Like you ladies like, smoothing my face in Photoshop and do Photoshop on my face and all that. We use Photoshop for that because it's purposely meant for pixelation and pixel programs. So we've already described the RGB and the CMYK with designing and all that. All right, so I wanted to show you this artwork that I created, I think a few years ago. So it's just a combination of colors, design principles, lines. In fact, all the basic principles in designing, I've applied over here to create this color palette. It was from, I think, an international organization. It was a jazz festival and then some other events going on, and then I had to create this artwork, I think 2 or 3 years ago. We created this. So basically, these are all the principles of designing. You can see the circles, you can see the triangles, the squares, the white spaces, and all that, the lines, all the color combinations that you can think of has been applied over here. The principles that I've taught you so far, everything has been applied over here. All right, so I believe you've learned something today, and you would be greatly creative if you start your design process, because I've given you all the sugar to designing, the basic principles, the advanced ones that you be needing. All the advanced principles that we apply in designing our day-to-day activities are based on the basic principles that we learned. So we just grew from the basic principles and then grew over them and then applied our personal creativity and touch to come up with the designs that you see in your day-to-day activities. All right, so I just want to catch you up with the softwares and see how they work, so you can learn something from there. And you can check out BrandNerds Limited on Google or any other platform, social media platform. You can learn more about us and what we do over there. And that brings us to the end of the theory session. Let's get into the design software and see how the designing works over there. You can connect with me on all social media platforms at Edwin Dela. I'll be greatly happy to connect with you and speak with you. If you need any other information, you can connect with me at okay. So I'm putting my email address down here for you to copy. If you need, and those who need the presentation, I'll make it available for you also, don't worry. No, please, I don't work with the Wacom tablet. I normally design everything in Illustrator and Photoshop. Okay, so I'm coming to close this window and then let's get started with okay, so this is basically Photoshop for you, Illustrator. So let's just create a basic document. Let's create a call card. So the basic size for call card is 3.5 inches by 2. Creating just the front size of it. So that's the orientation of it. And as you can see, the color mode over here, I'm using the RGB color palette. So let's create our document. Awesome. So this is basically the interface for Adobe Photoshop. On your right here, you can see the various tools that we have: the select tool, the direct selection tool, you have the pen tool, that's for, you have the text, you have the shapes, which comes with the triangle, the rounded triangle, the eclipse, you have the star tool, and then the flare tool also. So these are all basic tools that you need. When you get your hands on the software, you'll be able to learn from all this. So let's create a basic call card. Let's name this, let me choose one of you from the chat, and then who should I choose? Ladies first. Okay, so let's go with Linda. All right, so Linda, I'm going to create this artwork with your name and then see if you can get your call card for free. All right, so Linda, we are creating a call card for you. So basically, let's say I want to arrange all my documents in a certain alignment. I don't want them to cross this line. So this is your ruler tool that you have over here. And I've placed a ruler to guide my artwork as to where to put certain things. So let's say I want the top side to be also here. Let's say Linda doesn't have a logo, so just put a logo over here. So that's just copy and paste that I've done with a shortcut. So let's say LN, that's Linda's logo. So let me just put one guide also here and then put one down here also. So you know the space in which you are putting your artwork. So your artwork doesn't go outside these spaces over here. So this is Linda's artwork. I would like her logo to be here. Let's just put it in a box. I think my time is up also, but let's do something small. So the both text are black, so I'll just put this into white. And that's Linda's logo. You have a name here. And let's say you have her number 088-888-8932. That's Linda's number, and her email address is linda@kli.com. And Linda stays in Accra, Ghana. So basically, this is a basic core card that you've created. Now, this is where the magic happens. Now you've seen everything is in the same information, or the format of the information are all the same. So you can't tell which is which and then which is not. So let's say I want to make her name bolder. So I increase the font of, or the font size. Sorry, let me do it in the regular way. So this is just where you select the font size at. So let's say I make it 24 is good. I don't like how the text is looking. So let's say I change it to something like this. Now it's looking too huge to me. So we're going to reduce it back to, I want her name to stand out. So 18 is good. And I want to make it bold. Now, all the other information down here I've selected, or I want to change that to something that will be user-friendly. So I'm just going to change that to something like that, and then reduce the size of that to this, and then make it more lighter. But yet, I want people to notice her phone number also. So now I select a phone number, and then I increase the weight of that phone number to, let's say, bold italic. Now let's give Linda an artwork color. So let's say her color from here, she's a lady, let's just go with pink. The pink. And basically this is a flat scorecard that you've created. Let's just add one element over here. So I'm creating a line on top of her. I'll just increase the size of the line to this and make that one also pink. And then let's duplicate this line over here. So basically, we've created a core card. It's not really great. It's not really great, but yet it's okay. Now, although they are all aligned to a particular space or shape, I still want to keep them focused. So I'll just click on this button. That's one advantage over this software. You can just easily align software just like you do in Microsoft Word. So I've aligned everything to the left of my screen. So now, as you see over here, everything is aligned to the left. Now, after doing this, that's when the real magic happens. Now you can come back and then make designs, creative designs from it and all that. So you can reduce the lines, the sizes, and then make maybe extra designing elements into it to create what you are looking for. I want to share some artworks with you. Okay, so let me just open this. So basically, that's the Adobe software for you. I'm not able to go through with the Photoshop because we've run out of time. Hopefully, we'll do that another time. All right, so I've created some artworks for you to see over here. Okay, let me do it this way rather. Awesome. So this application of designing, as you can see the alignment over here. On your side over here, you can see how everything is aligned into a particular space, and you see the white spaces all around you and all that. So these are basic application of line, circles, and all that. So you can see the rectangle, the color combination, the color limitation also. So you see they've not gone outside the color space you are seeing over here. So basically, these are some applications of designing that you can see. Okay, so this is also one example of design. You can see from the artwork, the color combinations, the spacing, the font sizes, and all that. So these are some artworks that I've done over the past couple of years and in my working experience also. So you can see the application of a certain color range consistently over the product design. This is another design of for a company I did, Ghana Gas also. Okay, so you can see the color combinations I use over here, the application of the weight and all that, the focus of the designing, the sub sections of the design also. So these are all applications of the designing. If you have any questions or answers, just questions, kindly send an email to me and I'll show you any other thing that you need.